What does a mother know about cybersecurity? Everything. I'm Melissa Simmons, founder of Fortify Awareness, threat communicator, cybersecurity awareness educator, mom, and connector between people and digital protection. I'm not your typical cybersecurity practitioner. I don't have a technical background, and I didn't climb the corporate ladder. Despite all the no's and closed doors, I decided to make my own opportunity by founding my cybersecurity awareness startup. I didn't just bring my own seat to the table, I built it from the ground up. This talk is my love letter to inclusion, intention, and impact. I call it the Motherload, designing cybersecurity awareness with heart, hustle, and humanity. Because the work I do is deeply rooted in lived experience, emotional intelligence, and the strong belief that cybersecurity literacy should be accessible for everyone, not just the technical elite. Because when we talk about victory by design, I believe that designing awareness with heart, hustle, and humanity is a quiet revolution. One that doesn't just change behavior, but it builds trust and transforms culture. Let's get into it. I didn't come up through the SOC. I came through federal government service, refugee support, motherhood, and advocacy. I was a career federal employee with experience managing and categorizing highly sensitive refugee information and optimizing processes to better improve national security efforts. Then I entered my journey into motherhood. And while I was at home during my maternity leave, I made the intentional decision to obtain my first cybersecurity certification and make a career transition into the dynamic world of information security. I dove head first. I joined academic groups through the city colleges of Chicago, participated in CTFs, attended local InfoSec meetups. I learned through hands-on participation during hacker conferences. I documented my phishing simulation projects, and I started a cyber and tech blog. But all this wasn't enough experience to land my first role in the industry. After countless months of rejections, I finally took matters into my own hands. I started my cybersecurity awareness startup and pitched my services to several small organizations through cold outreach. Within a few weeks, I landed my first clients. I was helping people navigate systems they didn't understand, sometimes in a new language under high stress. Sound familiar? Those same instincts to listen, to explain clearly, to lead with empathy are exactly what cybersecurity awareness is missing today. Now add motherhood to that. I became even more vigilant, more tuned into risk, more determined to protect what matters and to teach others how to do the same. That's when I realized my lived experience isn't separate from my work. It is the work. This gave me a different lens because I wasn't approaching education as a cybersecurity practitioner. I was approaching it as an average person making education accessible for my community. I saw a gap in digital literacy and online protection, and I leveraged what I learned to bring these workshops to my community. I understand how people think when they're overwhelmed, how they react when they're scared, and how security messages either empower or alienate. When I first trained a group of non technical users and saw that light bulb go off, not because I scared them, but because I spoke their language, I resonated with them. This was my first real cybersecurity victory. So here's the problem. Most traditional security awareness training is fear based, technical, dry, and honestly, it's built for insiders, not everyday users. We scare people into compliance instead of empowering them with confidence. We throw acronyms at people that don't even know what phishing means. And who gets left behind? People who look like me, people who look like our parents, people juggling kids, caregiving, people who've never been invited to the tech conversation, people working two jobs who don't even know what MFA stands for. This is a design flaw. And a flawed design It leads to disengagement, insecurity, and risk. So, what's the alternative? I'm going to introduce you to my awareness design framework, the one I use at Fortify Awareness, to teach everyone from nonprofit staff to entrepreneurs to corporate admins. And I break it down into 3 pillars. The first one is heart. Understand your audience's real lives. When I create training, I imagine the tired parent reading emails during daycare pickup, or the overworked staff who's afraid to admit they don't know what a VPN is. That's my audience. Not a cybersecurity analyst in a war room, not CISSPs, not pen testers. So I speak to people in plain language. I give them examples that matter to them. I teach them like a friend because empathy is a design tool. Hustle is the second pillar. I've turned phishing warnings into infographics using Gen Z language. I've done workshops where we act out a smishing scam using real received text messages and use examples from popular movies and TV shows. Why? Because that's what gets me engaged. Because awareness doesn't stick unless it's engaging. And honestly, security is not that boring. We just teach it like it is. This is where storytelling, humor, and cultural fluency come in handy. Hustle means adapting, meeting people where they are, not expecting them to come to you. The third pillar is humanity. Too often, inclusion is treated like an afterthought in security. It's treated as a nice to have. But if your awareness materials only work for the tech savvy, you've already failed. Designing with humanity means accounting for digital literacy gaps. Many cybersecurity materials assume a baseline of digital literacy, and that's not just the case for everybody. Acknowledging cultural context, making it accessible in multiple languages. I've had my security resources translated to Spanish by a native speaker and someone who is a cybersecurity practitioner, someone who understands both sides of the aisle. Avoid shame-based language. When people feel stupid or judged for making a mistake, like clicking on a phishing link, they're less likely to report it. Invite questions, even the basic ones. When there's an open dialogue around new concepts, it creates psychological safety, reinforcing that excitement of curiosity and learning. Simply put, inclusion is protection. Using this approach, I've trained numerous non-technical professional groups from small admins to small business owners, and the feedback's always the same. No one ever explained it like that before. No one ever made cybersecurity relatable. So here's what I'll leave you with. You don't have to fit into a mold to lead in cybersecurity. You don't have to sound like a textbook to teach people how to protect themselves. And you don't need a CISSP to know when something feels unsafe. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can bring to the field is your story, your perspective, your care. That's the Motherload. Let's build awareness that includes more voices, that speaks to more people, and that protects us all. Thank you to SquadCon, to Black Girls Hack, and everyone making space for stories like mine. If you want to connect, collaborate, or co-design something together, I'm happy to connect on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear from you. Let's mother the movement and let's win this by design. Thanks.